gentlemen, I love cherry fragrances. So in this video, I will finally make my best cherry fragrances list rated from lowest to highest men's improvement rating. There are countless of cherry fragrances not on this list because I don't have either a sample or a bottle available. But don't worry, at the end of the video, I will make a round up screen where I will show you all of the cherry fragrances I have tried and rated from lowest to highest rating. But if you're interested in hearing about the fragrances that I have in this video, then stay tuned and let's not waste any more time and let's begin this list. Starting with the lowest men's improvement rated cherry fragrance I have available is unfortunately going to be Tom Ford Electric Cherry. This one is the freshest out of the bunch that I'm going to show you in this video, and that is because not only of the scent profile but also due to the lack of density and backbone. This starts off slightly zingy, fresh, with a touch of ginger in there, trying to give off this electric, as the name intends, feeling with some bright, somewhat citrusy touches with the cherry, but it is very musky, very light, slightly ambery, and generally sweet but not very sweet cherry fragrance. If you want a subdued cherry that is not too sweet but still there, this might be something for you, but I'm going to mention that this is not strong by any means. It's very light, very soft, very easygoing, but if you want that, then Electric Cherry might be the one for you. Unfortunately, on my skin, Tom Ford Electric Cherry lasts 4 to 5 hours, with projection being half a meter for around 10 minutes or so, which then dries to a very mild skin scent. Again, super inoffensive, but still has some cherry edge to it, which makes it somewhat interesting for a spring and summer fragrance, but nothing groundbreaking, but at the same time nothing offensive. And I've given Tom Ford Electric Cherry a 7.9 out of 10 men's improvement rating. Check this one out at least, see if it is something for you, but let's move over to something far greater. Moving up some points, I have Dossier Ambery Cherry. This is far cheaper than the previous scent, and in my opinion, this is very reminiscent of Tom Ford Lost Cherry, but this is going to be fruitier, but at the same time less sweet, a little less refined due to the budget of the fragrance, but this is still a very good alternative and generally a very good cherry fragrance. This is very jammy, very sweet, very fruity, but this is not, in my opinion, just a cherry fragrance, because I also do pick up on some strawberry-like nuances, which adds to the jamminess and gives you some contrast to the fruitiness. So it's not only going to smell of a fruity cherry fragrance, but also some touches of some strawberry here as well, giving you some different type of fruity sweetness than you might be used to. Even though this is very sweet, it is not as sweet as something like Tom Ford's Lost Cherry, because this is slightly subdued but still very strong and very prominent. This is slightly less refined, so sometimes in the scent profile you can detect some hints of harshness and not as much smoothness, but still nonetheless this is very smooth, very round, very soft, but at the same time a powerhouse. A really good shout if you're looking for an affordable cherry fragrance. On my skin, Dossier Ambery Cherry lasts 13 plus hours, with projection being around an arm's length or so for around an hour, which then dries to a moderate and in the end a mild skin scent. Such an underrated affordable cherry fragrance right here, and I've given Dossier Ambery Cherry an 8.5 out of 10 men's improvement rating. The same rating as I would have given something like Born to Stand Out, Indecent Cherry, and Initio Parfum Privé Narcotic Delight, which I unfortunately don't have on me at the moment. But just so you know, I find these 4 fragrances just as good in different ways, men's improvement rating wise, as Dossier Ambery Cherry. Such a good alternative for an affordable cherry fragrance. Moving slightly higher up the ranks, I have LM Parfum or Laurent Mazzone Parfum Red d'Amour. This is going to be a slightly more powdery, less vanillic, but more sour and tart, ripe version of something like Tom Ford Lost Cherry. This fragrance is very reminiscent of that, being this very jammy, thick, dense, syrupy cherry fragrance, but this lacks the vanillic touches that something like Lost Cherry has, but it replaces that with leather and Palo Santo, giving you this more woody, slightly leathery and somewhat creamy scent with the violet here, giving you this powdery sensation to the cherry. And since this lacks the vanillic touch that something like Lost Cherry has, this is not as sweet, but it's definitely going to be more sour, tart, and ripe due to the cherry accord smelling much different, but still in the realm of something like the previously named fragrance. And on my skin, LM Parfum Red d'Amour lasts 10 to 12 hours, with projection being moderate for around half an hour. After that, a scent bubble comes through and disappears whenever my body got hot, which then at some point dried to a very mild skin scent. It was very difficult to pick up, but it was there until the 10 to 12 hour mark. I've given LM Parfum Red d'Amour an 8.9 out of 10 men's improvement rating. Really high quality fragrance here, and I think if you want a powdery, woody, slightly leathery cherry fragrance, this is a really nice shout. Moving onwards, but staying with the same rating as the previous fragrance, and that is Tom Ford Cherry Smoke. This fragrance is a much more darker, smokier, possibly the most masculine leaning scent on this list. This fragrance starts off very juicy, very sweet, very fruity with the cherry, but there are some hints of a slightly exotic apricot here, adding to the fruity sweetness, giving you a pinch of something else than just cherry, but it's still going to be a very jammy, sweet cherry scent throughout the entire lifetime of the fragrance. But in the backbone, there is a bunch of smoke, woods, and leather, giving you this darker, much more juicier, and possibly more offensive and challenging version of a cherry fragrance. And osmanthus here giving you a lot of depth, thickness, and density, making this a powerhouse of a cherry fragrance. This is one of my favorite cherry fragrances, and I love this one. I love the very dense, thick smoke adding to the cherry sensuality, giving you a very sexy yet challenging cherry fragrance, which is both very jammy, sweet, seductive, but at the same time very smoky with a lot of depth and complexity. On my skin, Tom Ford Cherry Smoke lasts 8 to 10 hours, with projection being above a meter for a good amount of hours, which at some point dries to a moderate and at some point a mild skin scent. It's one of my favorite cherry fragrances, and if it was slightly cheaper and possibly even stronger in terms of longevity, this would have gone even higher on the list. But I have given Tom Ford Cherry Smoke an 8.9 out of 10 men's improvement rating. I love this stuff, and this one is my personal favorite Tom Ford cherry fragrance. If you want to see my comparison of all three, I've made a video up here in the corner which you can watch. If you want a very dark, smoky cherry fragrance, this is the one. Moving up, the fragrance that started the craze, Tom Ford Lost Cherry. This fragrance is one of my favorite fragrances ever made. I love this stuff. This is very jammy, super sweet, dense, extremely thick tonka bean cherry fragrance. What makes this one special is the rose here, adding a lot of density and thickness and making the different forms of cherry even denser, even more jammy, and giving you a lot of substance, a lot of thickness. And not only that, this is super complex. This is a lot of cherry. There's sweetness coming from the tonka bean. There's a lot of vanilla. This has a lot of different forms of sweetness, but in the end it gives you this very smooth, well blended concoction of a lot of different sweet nuances that in the end become this very jammy, very thick, dense cherry goodness. On my skin, Tom Ford Lost Cherry lasts 10 to 12 hours, with projection being an arm's length for around 1 to 2 hours or so, which then dries to a moderate and in the end a mild skin scent. And on other people, in my experience, this one is even stronger, with projection being above 2 meters for 1 to 2 hours or so, with sillage on other people being absolutely stunning and insanely strong. I've given Tom Ford Lost Cherry a 9 out of 10 men's improvement rating. This one is a stunner. I can't wait to empty this 30 ml with my girlfriend so I can in the end purchase a bigger and prettier, in my opinion, 50 ml bottle. Staying with the same rating but being something completely different, it is Headspace Kirsch. Headspace Kirsch is one of the more interesting cherry fragrances I've tried, because this takes a completely different approach to a cherry fragrance. This fragrance is a cherry boozy fragrance, but it's not boozy in a way you'd think. There is rum in this fragrance, but what I detect the most is also the listed sake accord, which gives you this white wine booziness added to a cherry fragrance, which is such a refreshing and unique touch. This is very dense, very strong, slightly metallic due to the ambroxan that is also here, but in the end you're going to give this very dense, thick, alcohol-like cherry scent, which doesn't smell of cherry liqueur, but you definitely pick up the sake here, giving you this very unique, different, boozy touch, with the cherry being very prominent, but there is also some iris here, giving you a powdery sensation into the mix. So in the end, you're going to get a powdery cherry fragrance with an unorthodox, boozy touch here, with a lot of lift from ambroxan and oak moss. This is such a unique fragrance. So if you're looking for a cherry fragrance unlike any other on the market, Headspace Kirsch is an insanely good shout. On my skin, Headspace Kirsch lasts 10 to 12 hours, with projection being an arm's length for a good amount of hours, which then dries to a mild skin scent. And this fragrance has a huge compliment factor in my experience, hence why you can see I've emptied so much out of my 100 ml, which one of my friends gifted me, so I'm very happy for that. And I've given Headspace Kirsch a 9 out of 10 men's improvement rating. This one is so good, so unique, so complex. Check this one out if you can. Staying with the same rating as the two previous fragrances, but adding something else to the mix, I have Kayali Lovefest Burning Cherry 48 Eau de Parfum. What a mouthful, I know. This one is very similar to Tom Ford Lost Cherry, but taking a slight twist from the DNA. This is just like Lost Cherry, very jammy, very sweet, very dense, very thick, but this has a twist of Palo Santo being thrown into the mix, so it's going to be much more woody and creamy in a different way, like something sandalwood and Palo Santo would do, giving you a creamy woodiness instead of the vanilla tonka bean approach. There's still rose here, giving you this very dense, jammy density added to the sweetness coming from the cherry and other compounds here, but because of the Palo Santo, this is going to smell slightly different, not as juicy, but in the dry run you're definitely going to pick up on the woody creaminess here, giving you a different approach to the Lost Cherry DNA, while this is going to be slightly more dry and slightly powdery. Not a lot, but you can definitely detect it here. So if you like Lost Cherry but you want something slightly more affordable and possibly more woody and drier, this is the one you should go for in my opinion. On my skin, Kayali Lovefest Burning Cherry 48 lasts over 12 hours, with projection being moderate, which then dries to a mild skin scent after an hour or two. This is not projection wise the strongest fragrance in the world, but it's definitely there, and it's definitely going to last you as long if not longer than Lost Cherry. And because of these qualities and differences, I've also given Kayali Lovefest Burning Cherry a 9 out of 10 men's improvement rating. Really good alternative and very close to Lost Cherry, but slightly different anyways. Fourth and last fragrance with the men's improvement rating of a 9 out of 10 is going to be the last inspired by of this list, and that is going to be ParfumeLab M111. I was fortunate to get this gifted a couple of years ago. You can see how much the juice color has changed. It has matured, but this one is very much so a very good affordable cherry fragrance, and might be one of the best affordable cherry fragrances I've tried. This fragrance is very similar to Lost Cherry as well, but in my experience is most similar to Kayali Lovefest Burning Cherry 48, because the Palo Santo here is also very prominent as it was in Kayali's cherry fragrance. This is also very sweet, tart, juicy, dense, strong, with the cherry being prominent throughout the entire lifetime of the fragrance. But this one is also going to be slightly more sour, powdery, but mostly very woody and creamy because of the very prominent Palo Santo here. This is such a stunner for the price. It is very affordable, but still a powerhouse of a cherry fragrance. If you really want want Kayali Lovefest Burning Cherry 48, but it's still too expensive for you, this one is your best alternative in my personal experience. Just because I got this gifted, you can see how much of the juice I have used, because I really enjoyed this fragrance as a cheaper, more affordable alternative for a cherry dense fragrance. On my skin, ParfumeLab M111 lasts 10 to 12 hours, with projection being moderate for around an hour or so, which then dries to a mild but noticeable skin scent. This is so good, and I've rated this a 9 out of 10 minutes improvement rating as well, because this is subpar with the 3 other fragrances I've mentioned with this rating, but in its own way. Nearing us perfection, but just shy from it, I have Terence Hughes Forbidden. This fragrance is one of the best cherry fragrances I have ever tried, because this takes again a different approach to a cherry fragrance. This has a very unique cherry bakewell accord, giving you this cherry chocolate brownie with a soft inside of it, which gives you this almost melting chocolate cherry cake feeling, which is to die for in my opinion, combined with some sweet orange, some oud in the base here, giving you this ultra complex cherry chocolate fragrance. This is impeccable perfumery. This is such a unique scent profile with the cherry. This is incredible. I'm saving this for special occasions because this is impeccable. This has not failed me yet. I have gotten so many compliments by wearing this fragrance a couple of times. The cherry bakewell accord is to die for, especially if you love chocolatey fragrances. This is almost as good as they come, and in terms of chocolate cherry fragrances, you will not find any stronger or better fragrance than this one here. This is so close to being a masterpiece, it's insane. On my skin, Terence Hughes Forbidden lasts 10 to 12 hours with an arm's length of projection for around an hour or two, which then dries to a moderate and in the end a mild skin scent, with sillage here being prominent for a good amount of hours, and sometimes this can fill a room, so people will definitely notice you while wearing this fragrance. All of these factors and traits for Terence Hughes Forbidden have granted this, in my opinion, immense improvement rating of a 9.9 out of 10. I love this stuff, and by spraying it on my hand, I just reminded myself of how much I really appreciate this fragrance. This is near perfection. I love it. Check this one out if you can, and if you want a chocolatey oud cherry fragrance, this one is almost as good as they come. Moving up to perfection territory with 10 out of 10 minutes improvement rated fragrances. To start, I have Terence Hughes Raw Cherry. This is also a chocolatey cherry fragrance with 5% oud as well, but this is not as cake or brownie like as Forbidden, but much more focused on the cherry. This is so juicy, so dark, so jammy cherry, but the oud here really gives you this dense, thick, very woody, but not in any way animalic scent profile, which gives you so much depth, richness, and the cherry accord here is to die for if you love cherry fragrances. This is dark, seductive, sexy, and ultra strong for a cherry fragrance. This has incredible sillage, incredible projection, incredible performance, and the scent profile here is one of the best in terms of cherry fragrances I have ever tried, hence of perfection rating in my opinion. This is smoothened out and blended to perfection, so focused on the cherry, but at the same time so complex, so well-rounded, so smooth, and overall incredible fragrance. I have nothing much else to say other than the cherry here being so juicy, so dense, so jammy, but the oud here also gives you even more density, even more depth, and even more complexity. One of my favorite fragrances ever, and possibly the best cherry fragrance out there. On my skin, Terence Hughes Raw Cherry lasts well over 12 plus hours, with projection being 2 meters plus for a good amount of hours, with incredible sillage, which at some point after a couple of hours dries to a moderate scent with a good scent bubble, and at some point dries to a mild skin scent. Extremely strong and insane value for money with this fragrance, hence why I of course have given Terence Hughes Raw Cherry a 10 out of 10 men's improvement rating. Simply put, a perfect fragrance. Love this one. Lastly, another fragrance with a 10 out of 10 men's improvement rating, and the fragrance that started my love for cherry fragrances and love for fragrances in general, Guerlain L'Homme Idéal Eau de Parfum. As you can see, I don't have much left of this fragrance. This is one of the older batches of this fragrance that has gone through many repackaging processes and different designs of the bottle. This one has been in my collection for I think 4 or 5 years or so. This one is a cherry almond fragrance with leather and incense, giving you this very smooth, round, dense, not necessarily juicy and jammy cherry, but definitely a sweet, fruity fragrance with the dry, slightly nutty, but at the same time sweet almond sensation with some tonka bean here, giving you some extra density and powderiness, which overall gives you a super complex cherry almond fragrance. Generally a very comfortable, pleasant, very versatile cherry fragrance with depth, with density, with strength. And this also, in my experience, has some freshness to it as well, so you can easily signature scent this fragrance if you want a sweet cherry fragrance that is sweet but not too sweet. You can wear almost all year round and possibly to work as well. One of the most versatile yet still strong, complex cherry fragrances I have tried so far in my experience. On my skin, Guerlain L'Homme Idéal Eau de Parfum lasts 10 to 12 hours, with projection being 1 to 2 meters for the first 2 hours of the fragrance's lifetime, which dries to a moderate and in the end a mild skin scent. And I have given, of course, Guerlain L'Homme Idéal Eau de Parfum a 10 out of 10 men's improvement rating. This is so good. I need you to try this one if you haven't already. Gentlemen, that was my list of my best cherry fragrances rated from lowest to highest men's improvement rating. Here on the screen you have the full list of cherry fragrances I have tried and rated, but some of them might not have made it onto the list because of the lack of bottles in my collection or lack of samples. But here you can see all the cherry fragrances I have rated so far in my fragrance journey, so you can see which ones I rated the lowest and to the highest. What do you think of this list, gentlemen? Do you like cherry? Do you dislike cherry in fragrances? Do you have some cherry fragrances? And what is your favorite cherry fragrance if you do have one? Comment down below. I would love to see what you have to say down there. Also, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe to the Men's Improvement YouTube channel for more videos about fragrances, grooming, style, fashion, skincare, fitness, watches, everything that will make you, gentlemen, the best possible versions of yourselves. The last few things I want to ask you, gentlemen, is to smile more because it's free, and I want you to watch these 2 videos right here. This one here below is going to be my latest upload rest. This one up here is going to be video that the YouTube algorithm thinks you will enjoy.